So I see a bunch of people trying to become a data analyst nowadays, and they're going about it the wrong way. The fastest way to get hired in data analytics is to pick one domain and reverse engineer the skills, tools, and projects around that. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how. So if you're new, my name is Zazo. I'm currently a senior data analyst, and I've been a data analyst for almost 4 years at this point. So the first thing that we have to get into is, why do most people fail? So the first thing that people normally do is they follow random tutorial. I'm gonna tell you one, that ain't the way. All right, don't just go and search how to become a data analyst and do these random generic tutorials. It used to probably work back in the day, but right now, this is not what's going to get you hired. A lot of people are out there building the same Kaggle sales dashboards and pulling data sets from Kaggle and doing all these different things. Now, don't get me wrong, that's all right for learning, but that's also not going to get you hired. People usually try to learn every single tool. So SQL, Python, Excel, Tableau, Power BI, R, and the list goes on, when really there's only a few that you need to learn, but you need to lock in on what's most important, and that's your domain. So the reason why I say this is because once you pick your domain, you have a real clear path on where you're needing to go, and that kind of determines everything else around what you do after that point. So data analysts don't get hired because they know SQL. You get hired because you know how to use SQL to solve specific business problems in a specific business domain. So now I'm going to go into the core framework of how to get hired as a data analyst the fastest. The first thing that I've been saying this whole time is pick your domain, right? So here's some examples. There's e-commerce, there's healthcare, there's finance, there's marketing analytics, which is personally what I work in. Supply chain, there's tech and SaaS, real estate, sports analytics. But picking this is crucial for your development and also for you getting hired in that first role. You need to be very specific in which type of role you are going for. And when you pick a domain, everything becomes easier because you know what portfolio projects you need, you know how your resume should be outlined and keywords that you should use, you know the tools that you'll need, and even things to speak about in your interview. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you actually need to study or know some of the problems that are in your domain, right? So for e-commerce, a lot of those problems are going to be conversion rates, people with abandoned carts, customer lifetime value. Healthcare is probably going to be something around patient wait times, treatment outcomes, and things of this nature. Finance is a bunch of risk modeling, right? If you're going to invest or do something with money, what is your risk given a certain outcome? And marketing, specifically what I deal with, is you have a bunch of these keywords like ROAS, which is just return on ad spend, and these different attributions. What are we attributing it to, this campaign, that campaign, these types of things. So you really need to know your domain so you kind of figure out what KPIs are most sought after in these specific domains or the domain that you choose, and you reverse engineer what type of projects and different things you need to look into. Your job is not to learn all of these different tools and do all these different things. The key to becoming a data analyst first, in my opinion, is going to be you need to learn how data solves problems in this chosen domain. So the next thing you need to do is reverse engineer the job descriptions. Now, what I would do is I would pull a couple different job postings that are within your specific domain. I would identify the different keywords, so things like KPIs, tools, and responsibilities, and make an exact list of those that appear most in that type of domain that you want, and then now you have your roadmap and you can work towards it. Now, if you want me to help you make a roadmap or that type of thing, or give you an actual concrete example of what this looks like, leave me a comment below And if there's enough people that want to actually see it, I'll make a video on it. All right, so now let's get to the domain specific project building. So this is the same across the board. Things have really changed in a bunch of different tech domains, and Now it's not good enough to just be a general analyst, especially if you don't have any prior work experience or anything like that. The last thing you want to do is just be the same as everybody else, pulling the same data set from Kaggle and doing the same Titanic survival rate or whatever that problem is, right? I see it way too many times. You don't want to be that person. You want to be very specific in what you're doing, because that's what's going to stand out to employers. So for example, I'm going to give my domain as kind of the main example. So I work in marketing analytics specifically. So something that would be helpful would be some type of marketing campaign ROI. So you do the cost to essentially put on this campaign, and then you do how many conversions you got and add up the totals from that campaign, and then you basically have an ROI dashboard. There's other things that we do as well, and sometimes the KPI is not always ROI. Maybe it's engagement. How do we determine engagement? Is that a click? Is that an impression? Is that, what is that? Is that a sale? Those are the different types of KPIs that will switch depending on if you're in marketing or if you do something like healthcare, which maybe is dealing around how to optimize hospital wait times or something else of that nature. So that's the reason why I say the domain is probably the most important, because it gives you direction on which problems to solve. And the key thing that you kind of want to get out of this when you show your portfolio or resume is, like, you want to show the employer without a doubt that I understand your industry and I've solved problems that you as the employer care about. So the next thing is the tools that you want to learn. So a lot of these tools are going to be similar, but how you use them could be very different. So for pretty much any data analyst role, you're going to want to know SQL, Excel, and some type of data visualization tool. My first data visualization tool was Tableau. Power BI is used a lot as well, and either are fine. Now, Python is somewhat of a steep learning curve, so don't get me wrong. If you learn Python, you'll definitely have the upper edge or stand out more. But what you need to know off the bat is going to be Excel, SQL, and a data visualization tool. And you're going to want to solve specific problems in that domain with these tools. All right, so now once you've done that, your portfolio should be perfectly positioned to that specific domain, and it must include these three things: a business first project description, KPIs that matter to that domain, what I just mentioned a couple minutes or seconds ago, and a short case study story. So what do I mean by that? Is you're going to tell them what the problem was, what the process was, and then the result of that process. And that's how you want to build out your portfolio. Another thing that's going to come into play is being able to tell the story of the data. Visualization will obviously help you, but doing this short case study story is really what's going to tell an employer whether or not you can effectively communicate the story of the data, which is very important in data analytics, by the way. All right, so I just want to go over a full recap and put it into simple listicle of things that you need to do for the fastest path to becoming a data analyst. You want to pick a domain, study domain problems, reverse engineer your job descriptions based on that domain, build domain specific projects, learn the tools that you need to solve those problems and do those projects, and apply with a positioned portfolio and resume to that domain. So this is going to be the end of the video. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you guys want more content like this, let me know what you want in the comments. Love, peace, and chicken grease.